Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's sing together a morning song out of the Till hymn book, hymn number 1068, Rising Green. If you want to look in the hymn book, the lyrics will be posted also. And if you're joining us online, hi, and you can find the lyrics posted in the chat. This hymn is written by the same person that wrote Spirit of Life, Carolyn McDade. And I think it's one of the most elegant hymns that we have. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe I'll do a blog post and give my opinion on every single hymn one at a time, huh? I invite you to rise and let's sing together. My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak. Her sap does run in my veins. Boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end. My sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Bringing my song is the wind of my rest, and the love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of holding to you. Our greeting shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day. Thank you for singing. Please be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia UU congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. Thank you for joining us today. You are welcome here just as you are. Whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity, and in all the ways that you are still becoming the person you will be. My name is Alicia Seegers Martinelli. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. Leading worship with me today is our guest speaker, Roddy Biggs, Troy Fisher, our music director, Reverend Sarah Lewis, the director of community and faith development. Our minister, Reverend Mary Gear, is away from the pulpit this week, virtually attending a UU Ministries conference. Roddy bell-shelton Biggs, who uses they, them pronouns, is a queer, BIPOC, non-binary seminarian, an aspiring public theologian. They were born in East Tennessee and raised in the Presbyterian Church. After coming out as queer, Roddy did not feel welcomed or supported by the church and decided to leave the church and religion behind them. However, that is not the case now, as Roddy found a new love of church and religion years later when they discovered Unitarian Universalist faith. Today, Roddy owns the Christian faith of their childhood with the new light and spiritualities of their ancestors, and they are grounded in Unitarian Universalist faith communities by choice. Here are a few things that you should know about our service today. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those of us here in the sanctuary, you can see the sometimes creative subtitles here on the screen in the front, or Zoom if you're online. We have fluffy chairs and activities so your hands and bodies can feel comfortable. We are a multi-generational community, and we value our young ones. Kids, babies, and teens are all welcome right here in the sanctuary. There's also nursery care and a storytime program for children down the hall in the classroom wing. We are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions on the sermon topic. For those on Zoom, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. And for those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee in the commons. At 11:30, after the coffee chat, please return to the main room or to the sanctuary for a forum and discussion on the history and environmental issues of the Port of Olympia, sponsored by the Environmental Action Team. And in book sale news, this is the last week to bring your book donations to OUUC. October 15th is the deadline. We also need donations of grocery bags for the sale day. Bring books and bags to Classroom 4 in the RE wing. Trunk or Treat returns to OUUC in 3 weeks on Sunday, the 29th of October from 3 to 4:30 p.m. This is a fun event for us, our kids, and the community at large. And to make it successful, we need you to come and park your vehicles, decorate it, and hand out candy. So start planning the costumes now. Prizes will be awarded. There are many things happening at Olympia UU. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. If you are online and have a chalice or a candle, please join me as we light our chalices together with the words from Leah Derland Jones. As we light this flame, we remember friends and loved ones near and far, and we give thanks. As the fire burns brightly, we open our minds and our hearts to new ways of being, and we feel alive. As the room glows with warmth and kindness, we extend our circle ever wider to welcome those who want to come in, and we know love.
Hey beloveds, it is so good to be here with you virtually this morning. Our opening words this morning come from Alondria Williams. Alondria served as co-moderator of our Unitarian Universalist Association from August 2017 to June 2020. Alondria was a great leader, a joyous presence, and a force to be reckoned with in our Unitarian Universalist communities and beyond. Alondria passed away in August 2020. E. writes, "If we believe in the promise of our faith, We must continue pushing forward, even if the reality makes us want to give up. There is no one-size-fits-all solution or model, but there are many paths forward based on context, relationship, and place. From behind, 4 black women stand with arms around one another's waist. Ideology speaks of movements, but relationships are what change organizations and sustain our movements. It takes one relationship at a time. At the end, change to the leadership of the institution happen because of relationships. People pushing. We must place value on relationships and the need not to leave folks behind in our quest for transformation. I live in a small city, but living in that small city has helped me understand what community means. Community doesn't only include the people you agree with or those with whom you want to be friends. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is similar in the sense that we are a small religious community of people who are not bound by creed, but instead bound by principles, values, and a covenant, with a need for intellectual rigor combined with the spiritual depth of humanist love. Everything comes back to our congregations and covenanted communities. That is where faith starts and ends. We must embody the change we wish to see, and not just say we believe in the change. We must actually live the change with every fabric of our being. If we believe in the promise of our faith, we must continue pushing forwards. Come, beloveds, believing in the promise of our faith, let us continue pushing forwards as we worship together this morning.
Let's sing together. I invite you to rise and let's sing together hymn number 1029 out of the Till Hymn Book. Love knocks and waits for us to hear.
Love longs to quiet Good morning. So Patrick's mom was making cookies, and not just any cookies. These were oatmeal chocolate chip peanut butter monster cookies, his favorite. But these cookies were not for Patrick or his sisters. These cookies were for a work party that Mom was going to the next day. And so even though the house filled up with the smell of these delicious cookies, none of them were for the kids. It was torture. When Mom finished the cookies, she put them in a fancy box and tied it up with a ribbon and left it on the counter. And later, as Patrick and his sisters were in the living room watching TV, Mom came in very mad. "Where are the cookies?" she asked. "What?" the kids said. "No, really," Mom said. "Where are the cookies? They were on the counter, and now they're gone." "It wasn't me," said Dawn at the same time that Patrick said, "I don't know." Mom was furious. Oh, it looked like steam was coming off the top of her head. She said, "I cannot be with you right now. I am going for a walk to cool my head. And when I come back, I would like to know what happened to the cookies." And then she slammed out of the house. They all stared at each other. "I think it was Dawn," said Patrick. "Obviously, you took the cookies." "Not me," said Dawn. "I think it was you." "Well, it wasn't me," said Patrick. "Maybe it was Shelley. Look, I think I see chocolate on her face." "No, you don't," said Shelley, the youngest. "There's no chocolate on my face." And so it continued, with none of them saying that they took the cookies, but all of them acutely aware that Mom would be back soon. So then Patrick decided to switch tactics. "Shelley," he said, "why don't you just say you took the cookies? You're the youngest, and Mom never really punishes you. Why, if you say you took the cookies, I'll let you play my video game system tomorrow." Dawn caught on to Patrick's strategy. "Yes, Shelley," Dawn said. "Why don't you say you took the cookies? Why, if you do, I'll let you sleep with Mr. Bunny tonight." Well, getting to sleep with Mr. Bunny sealed the deal, so Shelley said, "Okay." And when Mom came back, Shelley confessed. And Mom was mad, and Shelley started crying, and Mom sent Shelley to bed immediately and took away her screen privileges for the rest of the week. And Dawn and Patrick continued watching TV and went to bed at their usual time. And then later that night, Patrick got up for a glass of water. And as he came down the stairs, he noticed that the light was still on in the kitchen, even though it was well past midnight. And he peeked in, and he saw his mom. She was there in her bathrobe, looking exhausted, baking more cookies. He felt really bad. So he went into the kitchen. "Mom?" "Oh," she said, "you scared me. What are you doing up?" "Well," he said, squaring his shoulders and summoning his courage, "I have a confession to make. It was me. I took the cookies." "What?" his mother said. "Yes," he hurried on. "Well, so first, I was only going to sneak one cookie out of the box. But then when I did that, I ripped the box and kind of ruined it, and I knew you would be able to see that. And so then I thought the best thing to do would be to hide the box under my bed. So I took the whole box to my room, and then, well, they all smelled so good, so I just kept eating them, and then I ate the entire box of cookies." "You ate an entire batch of monster cookies?" his mom asked. "Yes," he said. "My stomach kind of hurts." "Well, good," said his mom. And Patrick continued, "I feel really bad now. I am really sorry. Can I help? Can I help make the cookies? I mean, I see that you're really tired, and this is all my fault." And in fact, can I make some more cookies for Dawn and Shelley? Because really I was mean to them, making them take the blame. And his mom agreed, and Patrick stayed up and helped make the cookies. And much later, both very, very tired, but with a complete wrapped box of cookies for work and another basket of cookies with a note on it that said, "I'm very sorry," they both headed up to bed. And partway up the stairs, Patrick's mom stopped him. "I'm really glad you told me the truth, and I'm really glad that you tried to make it better. But don't think that you're not still in trouble. I'm going to think of your punishment tomorrow when I'm not so tired." "I know," said Patrick, "and thank you for letting me help and letting me try to make it better. And tomorrow, I know, I'll accept my punishment." And Patrick really learned something from this that lasted him the rest of his life. And it wasn't just how to bake cookies. Patrick learned that when he made mistakes, that he could try to make it better, and that there was forgiveness. And to the end of his life, every time he smelled cookies baking, he would remember that night with his mom and the forgiveness and the love and the accountability, and it would fill his heart with a sense of grace. Thus ends our story.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we contribute our gifts to create an offering, together we are able to do more than any one of us can do alone. We also express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. If you are new or visiting us for the first or second time, you are our guests, and we do not expect you to contribute. And if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share will be most gratefully received. The offering collected here does two things. It supports the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by our regular pledges. And this offering supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our UU values. Our Share the Plate organization for September and October is Black Power Pathways, a mutual aid fund. The Black Power Initiative's mission is to empower and create financial access for Black people to have the power to determine the destiny of our Black community. With this ultimate vision, one simple but significant first step is to provide emergency financial support in the form of small cash grants to Black people in need to keep people from slipping through the cracks. Formerly known as a Pathway to Hope, Black Power Pathways mission is also to help formerly incarcerated people find paths to community support, housing, and economic stability. You can participate in the offering by making a donation online, through the church website, or by texting the number that's on the screen. You can also make a check to Olympia UU, or place your offering in one of the baskets that's being passed around by the ushers. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you for your generous gifts. We came together this morning bringing all that is in our lives. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of community. Right now, I invite you to take a breath as we open our hearts to receive the complexity of all that is in our lives and our communities today. Our hearts are with all the people in Israel and Palestine as this troubled land is once again in the grip of war. We pray for peace, for reconciliation, and for repair. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, previously celebrated as Columbus Day. We pause to remember and mourn the great atrocities committed against the indigenous peoples of this continent and the ongoing injustices still faced. As we celebrate Indigenous resiliency, may we also pledge ourselves to reparations and right relationship. October 11th is National Coming Out Day. We send our love to all who have come out and proclaimed their identities to the world, as well as to those who have not. You are loved. You are worthy. You are whole, just as you are. And this week, our sign on Division Street was tagged with a large bit of vandalism. We pause to grieve this violation of our space and to send our thoughts to the person who did this. May they learn new ways of expressing themselves, new ways of being that are not harmful to others. For those online, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen. And for those in person today, I invite you to come forward if there is something that you would like to bring into the community. You may place a stone into the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Please come up through the side aisle and return by the center aisle. Let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. and one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. Please be in whatever way is comfortable for you for prayer and meditation. And I invite you into a loving kindness meditation with me. Please take a couple deep breaths together. Become aware of your breath, your chest rising and falling, your heart beating. And then bring to your heart and your mind someone who you love or someone who has done you a kindness. And send this prayer to them. May you be whole. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. And next, bring to your heart and your mind someone who has harmed you or done you wrong in some way, large or small. And with that person in mind, send them this prayer. May you be whole. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. And then I invite you to bring into your awareness yourself and those mistakes that you have made. And picturing yourself, send this prayer. May you be whole. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. Please hold a few minutes of silence.
Anyone can slay a dragon, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero, writes Brian Anders, an American writer, artist, and publisher. While this morning doesn't have anything to do with slaying dragons, it has everything to do with slaying oppression and inequality in our world. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to be the weavers of a tapestry of people, and to be such weavers takes courage. I wonder where we might still need some work, and where we might find the courage to continue in our work this morning. As we wake up in a world we'll know, we are not called to slay a dragon, but to wake up every morning and love the world all over again. I think us here to wonder, writes Alice Walker, in The Color Purple, in the voice of Albert, in a conversation with Celie. I think us here to wonder, myself to wonder, to ask, and that in our wondering about the big things and asking about the small, the big things you learn about, the little ones almost by accident, but you never know nothing more about the big things than when you start out with. I wonder this morning what happens when a faith community's journey leads it down a new path, and what untold stories swept under the rug of guilt and shame will emerge. When uncovered, I wonder how we respond with and in recognizing and naming humanity once and still denied by comfortable silence. What choices do we make from here? And how do those choices impact our lives and the lives of others? You can choose courage or comfort, but you cannot have both, writes Brené Brown, a researcher and storyteller who has spent the past 2 decades studying courage, vulnerability, guilt, shame, and empathy. So in other words, if we choose to be courageous, it will mean moving away from comfort for the sake of comfort. As we name and share and explore stories swept under that rug. If we choose courage, it will mean we lean toward a new way of covenant. As Unitarian Universalists, we say we are rooted in love. What space does love take when it takes on one of justice? Are we called to be rooted in collective love or love of individualism? Rooted in collective love. Our beloved Alondria Williams reminds us Ideology sparks movements, but relationships are what change organizations and sustain movements. Ideology sparks movements, but relationships are what change organizations and sustain movements. And so what comes next? By now, I would hope you are familiar with, or at least have heard of, Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Article 2 is where the principles and purposes of our faith movement are laid out as a foundation of the work that our UUA and its member congregations and covenanting communities say they are doing in the Word. According to the UUA, Article 2 is a covenant to which all our congregations and covenanting communities pledge themselves to when they become a member of our UUA, a member of our UU faith communities. The current principles and purposes were last revised in 1987 at General Assembly in 2017. There was a discussion around amending the principles and adding an eighth, addressing racism, and amending the first principle addressing non-human life. The fifth principle has also been subject to reports and conversations as we work to embody the democratic process in an inclusive way. And all of this brings us to the language of the now proposed Article 2 that passed at this year's General Assembly in Pittsburgh with a preliminary vote of approval of 86.3% of delegates in favor of another year of study before a final vote of affirmation and adoption at the all-virtual General Assembly to be held next year. The preamble of this proposed Article 2 now reads, "As Unitarian Universalist, we covenant congregation to congregation and throughout our association to support one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritage of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building upon that foundation of love. Love is the power which holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love." So what does that mean for us here and now? Well, a path of shared values through a spiritual discipline of love takes courage and challenges the fabric of institutions and systems in which it was founded. According to James H. Cone in his book, God of the Oppressed, if we cannot recognize the truth, then it cannot liberate us from the untruth. Well, the truth is that a foundation rooted in patriarchy, white supremacy, heteronormativity, and the oppression of others takes courage to overcome and counter with love. A path of courage and not one of comfort calls upon all of us, those of us who are spiritual, religious, human travelers, those who are unsure of all of the religious and spiritual language and wish we would just quit using it, to be truth seekers, to be justice seekers, and world healers as we collectively journey, quite imperfectly, I might add, towards spiritual wholeness, working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by actions that dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Beloveds, called to be weavers of a multi-cultural tapestry in this way requires courage, and we have only just begun to explore our promise of what it means to be the weavers of such a tapestry. We must ask ourselves, will we still need work as a liberal faith community? And I've got news for you. And you might not like it. One sermon, one reflection, one book, 1 hour of listening to NPR will not come close to answers or solutions, or an even near complete understanding of what it means to be weavers of a multicultural tapestry grounded in love and courage. There have been and will continue to be countless reflections, sermons, and books written on what it means to be such weavers of a tapestry as we work to build and live into beloved community. To this end, our sacred promise, our sacred journey becomes how, not if, not why, not when, but how we seek to achieve such an enormous task of beloved community, of a multicultural, multifaceted tapestry that is indeed what our theologies and principles call us towards. I believe they do. I believe the ultimate call, the most sacred center of our faith, to be this. We are called to be the creators of beloved community, of tapestry, a tapestry of people. And in doing so, we must individually and collectively assess our own levels of comfort and be open to the painful discomfort that will and should arise within us. And after such a process of reflection, being open, being called to do something bold in response. So what is that bold response? We tell the truth, the tough and challenging truth of our movements and our history. and we hold people accountable in life-changing and life-saving ways. That's it. It's all it takes. I know we want to build beloved community, but the truth of the matter is we are not yet there. As a faith community, we are not quite there yet. That's the truth. That's the hard and challenging truth, beloveds. Why aren't we there yet, you ask? Well, perhaps an answer lies in the words of the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed, author and editor of several books, including Black Pioneers in a White Denomination, Darkening the Doorways, Black Trailblazers, and Missed Opportunities in Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Morrison Reed reminds us Unitarian Universalism never developed forms of worship, liturgy, writing, music, or theology reflective of African American experience. Black folks came to UU congregations, not the other way around. Therefore, when in 1967, there was nothing around to build a specifically African American Unitarian Universalist identity, and no natural interface with the African American community. They didn't join. Not as much as they could have. After 100 years of squashed opportunities, the conquerors came home to roost, writes Mark Morrison Reed. The chaos that unfolded was a result of this self-created void. A self-created void that now makes some of us ask without action, where are the people of color in our congregations? Tell the truth, they say. Tell the truth. The truth is, UUism has a history of missing the mark and sometimes doing amazing things the next moment. So what do we do next? The answer and the question can be summed up in a quote by Gloria Jean Watkins, a person better known by her pen name, Bell Hooks. We hold people accountable and at the same time remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe in their capacity to be transformed. Let me say that again, as it bears repeating. Remain in touch with humanity, theirs and ours, enough to believe in a capacity to be transformed. Beloveds, to believe in a capacity to be transformed, that is bold. Believing in a capacity to be transformed, accountable for wrongdoing, transformed with and because of humanity alone, that takes courage. It takes courage to be accountable and courage to believe in others' capacities to be transformed as well. Oh, beloveds, we are not yet the fully liberal, radically inclusive faith community that many of us would claim to be. And it will take courage to lean ever more so into the unknown. Now, don't get me wrong. We have done great work together thus far. We have come a long way. And yet, there is still much work to be done and areas to be explored. And to do so, we must lean ever more so into the unknown. How do we show courage and build a fully inclusive, fully radically inclusive faith, you ask? How do we build beloved community? We must organize in ways that invite our ancestors' wildest dreams as we recruit new leadership, new ways of being, as we lead and follow when maybe our leadership isn't the leadership that is needed in that moment, but following the leadership of others is what is needed. We must campaign and celebrate and vote and canvass and elevate the voices of the oppressed and marginalized as we build new ways of doing worship, of being in community, as we invite one another to be in community, to be accountable to one another. We must include everyone. When praying feels right, we pray. When we need to resist, we resist. When we need to bless, we find out how to bless the moment. And when we need to defend, we imagine new ways. Maybe it's abolishing systems that never served us. Maybe it's finding new ways to fundraise. Maybe it's leaning into new ways to be transformed. We chant in the streets when we need to chant. We collaborate with others. We redistribute wealth and resources. We mobilize in ways that build new systems and repair the ones that have been damaged. We establish new communities. We trailblaze forward, and we protest often. And in all of this, beloveds, we must side with love. We must answer the call of love again and again and again. And when we are tired of answering that call of love, we answer it again. And so, beloveds, as Unitarian Universalists, we are indeed called to be the weavers of a people, a narrative and a history into a beautiful tapestry. May we begin and again with love and courage. May it be so. Ashe and Amen.
Let's rise and sing together hymn number 1014 out of the Teal Hymn Book. If you're new to the hymn book, and maybe even if you're not, I'll just remind you that Jason Shelton has changed the title and first phrase of the hymn from Standing on the Side of Love to Answering the Call of Love. Answering the Call of Love.
Prophetic Church, the road awaits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love and proclaim the truth that sets us free. Amen, and blessed be.